Church of the Hills. Whether you're joining us online, in the sanctuary, or on the pavilion, we are so excited to be with you this morning.
For those of you watching online, please take a moment to say hello. Let us know where you're watching from and how you are this fabulous Sunday morning.
Hey, our Sharing for Caring program continues. This week we are supporting the Central Texas Food Bank. 1 in every 5 Central Texans are hungry or at risk of being hungry. Together we can make a difference and see that our fellow citizens have enough to eat. For every share of our service while we are live, we'll donate $5 to the Central Texas Food Bank.
Living an authentic, meaningful life amid today's challenges takes a conscious effort. Transformation is possible, and we have many tools to support you on the journey. Our One Power podcast explores spiritual and creative ideas to help guide you along your path. And you can check it out in your favorite podcast player or onepowerpodcast.com.
One of my favorite tools for transformation is gratitude. Join our praying chaplains on Zoom at 1 p.m. the first Sunday of every month, like today, for a gratitude circle. It's an opportunity to share your gratitudes with others and to hold a space as they share theirs with you. Join the circle today at 1 p.m.
Another great tool of transformation is meditation. In fact, prayer and meditation are cornerstones or foundations in unity. Join Dr. Dan Stasek on Tuesday night, March 9th at 7 p.m. for his Learn to Meditate class, offered on a love offering basis and taking place via Zoom.
And continuing on with spiritual tools, change your vibration to change your thinking, to change your world. Come play in the quantum field with Reverend Eliza every Wednesday at 12:30 via Zoom for her quantum frequency group harmonic for the greater good. Holding a consciousness of oneness will raise our vibration and then gift it to the world. Come play in the field with all of us.
Sandra Vela, LUT candidate, is offering an introductory session exploring the work, I Am the Word, the first of a series of channeled text by Paul Selig. Paul was the winner of the 2020 New Thought Walden Award and has been interviewed on Unity Online World Radio. His book is listed in Forbes magazine as one of 23 life-changing books. Join Sandra on Monday, March 15th at 7 p.m. on Zoom. Her hope is that this introduction sparks enough interest to form an ongoing book study. Learn more and RSVP at unityhills.org.
If you've been wanting to become more engaged here at Unity Church of the Hills and become a member, our new member class is coming up on Saturday, March 27th and Saturday, April 10th from 10 a.m. to noon via Zoom. This abbreviated Zoom class is being offered as a support while we are still primarily virtual. You'll learn more about Unity principles and your spiritual home. We would love to welcome you into our community and support you in your journey. Register today at unityhills.org.
Some of our rooms are open for small group gatherings of a spiritual nature. These include Legacy Suites for daytime and evening use, as well as Friendship Hall, the Sanctuary, and Chapel during church office hours. In addition, the pavilion and patio are available to rent as well. Email communications@unityhills.org to learn more about reserving a space and the safety guidelines that are in place.
Hey, last Sunday, Frank Phelan shared the exciting news that we have a viable candidate for senior minister. This individual, Reverend Cherie Taylor Jones, will be here on Sunday, March 14th, delivering the Sunday message and going deeper at the end of the service. We will send out a brief feedback form immediately following the service so that you can communicate your impressions with your board of trustees. Your feedback will be taken into consideration as the board makes their decision. You can learn more about Reverend Cherie by visiting unityhills.org.
And finally, we wanted everyone to know that we will honor and celebrate the life of Bob Heinrichs on Saturday, March 20th at 2 p.m. The sanctuary is reserved for family, but the pavilion will be open and the service will be live streamed to a special landing page on our website, unityhills.org/Bob-Heinrichs. That's Heinrichs. And we continue to enfold Susan in love and support as she navigates the grief journey. And we look forward to celebrating the amazing life of our dear friend, Bob.
And now we invite you to settle in as celebration transforms us through music. Peace and blessings, everyone.
If I had a hammer in the morning, I'd hammer in the evening, all over this land. I'd hammer out danger, I'd hammer out warning, I'd hammer out love between my brothers and my sisters, all over this land. Ooh, if I had a bell, I'd ring it in the morning, I'd ring it in the evening, all over this land. I'd ring out danger, I'd ring out warning, I'd ring out love between my brothers and my sisters, all over this land. Ooh, if I had a song, I'd sing it in the morning, I'd sing it in the evening, all over this land. I'd sing out danger, I'd sing out warning, I'd sing out love between my brothers and my sisters, all over this land. Ooh, I got a hammer and I got a bell, I got a song to sing all over this land. It's a song about justice, it's a bell of freedom, it's a song about love between my brothers and my sisters, all over this land. Ooh, it's a hammer of justice, it's a bell of freedom, it's a song about love between my brothers and my sisters, all over this land.
Good morning, everybody. Few of you in the sanctuary here today. It's wonderful to see you, all of you on the pavilion, hi pavilion peeps, and all of you in Facebook land and YouTube and on the website. We are open to a few people yet, as we're still in stage 4. We do ask you, if you are in the sanctuary, to please do keep your mask on. It is the requirement that we're asking. I know it's like, I know, but please do it because we all want to stay safe and it's a part of our matrix, so I appreciate all of that. I'm very thrilled today to say hello to some people. I've got a few people on my phone: Melissa, Jackie, Lisa, Karen, which means Janet too, Kay, Jeff, Opal, all kinds of people. Be sure to say hello to your family and your friends, your UCOH family on Facebook, because we like to get some connections moving back and forth. So we'd love to know how you're doing today. Let's just go on a scale of 1 to 10. 10's like fabulous, and 1's like, ugh. So on a scale, 10, well, you all here are probably 10s, right? But on Facebook, yeah, they're all 10s in here. But on Facebook, 1 to 10. Again, 10 is like, yeah, and 1 is like, ugh. All right, so if you are here for the very first time, we welcome you. If you'd like to know about Unity Church of the Hills, type the word connect into the chat, and we've got ambassadors that'd be happy to connect with you. And again, go ahead and post your number. My name is Reverend Eliza Bloom Robinson. I am the Bridge Interim Minister here. I've been here for a few months and am here as we move through the final stages of candidating and hopefully potentially hiring a next senior minister. So next week, We have Reverend Cherie Taylor Jones here with us. She'll be live on this stage. And so you'll want to RSVP, as we do, to be in the sanctuary at the pavilion. And be sure to watch live, even if you're not here. We're going to be sending out a survey right after the service. You just heard that in the announcements. And we're going to be doing a Going Deeper with her. So be thinking about the questions, not only about her talk, but that you want us to ask her for you. You can even send those questions in ahead of time, and we'll make sure Jennifer's on top of getting all the questions that come in through the service. So today, another very special day, equally special to me. We have a guest speaker. Woo-hoo. Happens to be somebody I truly adore. You're going to love him too. I happen to be married to him, so I really, really adore him. His name is Reverend Rob Robinson. He'll be giving our talk and our meditation, and we welcome him officially. Rob's been ordained since '87 and had a full career. He's been retired now for a few years, so he's happy to support me and show up now and again to give a talk. So glad you're here. All right, so prayer chaplains. We have prayer chaplains available to pray with you. There's a phone number on your screen. You can just call that number. Leave your name, your phone number, and that you would like a prayer or your prayer request, and somebody will call you back shortly after the service. Our prayer chaplains are delighted to serve in that way, and I'd like to encourage you to use them. Use them. They love when they get calls, so that's always available to you. Take a moment to think, to bring to mind, to light up, to zing up our youth and family. They're still meeting all entirely virtually, from the smallest all the way up through the high school and the next generation. And so we hold our kids and their parents and their teachers in our hearts and in our prayers, and we just sing them up. Just imagine their smiles, bringing smiles to your face. And so we honor them. If you'd like to know more about our youth program, you can find that on unityhills.org. Let's join together with our vision statement. As we read these words together, as we say these words together, we not only activate them with our words, but we pray them, but even more than praying them, we align with them so that we come into the vibrational alignment with this vision for Unity Church of the Hills. Together, we are an ever-expanding community of love and acceptance where lives are transformed. I'm going to invite Roderick to play the crystal bowl, and we're going to move into an opening prayer. As we feel that vibration of that crystal bowl, we feel the activation of our heart chakras. Let your heart be touched by that vibration. Let your heart be opened. As we activate our heart and we bring gratitude and appreciation into our heart space, we come into greater alignment. So whatever it is that's on your mind or your hearts today, we just bring that into this sacred space. If you have a prayer request, bring it into this sacred space. As our prayer chaplains are holding sacred space and holding prayer, we lift those people up. Anybody who's hurting today or struggling today in any way, shape, or form. And we enfold them in the love that we are at Unity Church of the Hills. As we join together in prayer, we lift up our ministry and every person in it. And as we lift ourselves and each other up, it is as if our hearts open and our minds open even more fully so. As we are open, we are receptive to the living Spirit of truth through our message, through our music, through our meditation, through our presence. And our presence is you. So joining together for this morning's celebration service, I am open and receptive to the living Spirit of truth. I am open and receptive to the living Spirit of love. And so it is, and so we let it be. Amen.
I'm used to being wired from my ear. Good morning, my name is Shonda Birch. I'm the volunteer coordinator. The Elliott Award is given in acknowledgement of long-term volunteer excellence, named after our own beloved A.J. Elliott. Prior recipients include A.J. Elliott, Bob Heinrichs, Frida Reinhardt, and Hope Rupaner. Enjoy our brief tribute to our 2021 Elliott Award honoree, Joan House.
I loved quilts when I was a child. They were always so comforting. In fact, sometimes quilts are called comforters with good reason. But both my grandmother and my mother did quilting. But I was too busy with school activities and having fun. And after retiring from our business, I started getting involved in a big way. Again, I took every class I could find because I wanted to know what I was doing and do it well. And when I consider the quilts that I'm making for the church, it's a triple win, not just a win-win. It does provide some extra funds for the church. It gives me a chance to show my love for my church family and hopefully provide some comfort and warmth for them. But very selfishly, it also gives me a major win because it gives me so much time to meditate.
Hello, Joan. It's my pleasure to present this much-deserved award to you. So congratulations and thank you.
Yay! Congratulations, Joan, on winning the A.J. Elliott Award this year. Awesome!
Hi, Joan. Ron Sherwin here. Big congratulations to you on being the A.J. Elliott Award winner for this past year. Thanks so much for all you do.
Hi, Joan. Congratulations for winning the Elliott Award. We love you, and we love your beautiful quilts.
Hi, Joan. It's me and Tammy. We're so grateful for you and love you and what you've done for our community, especially when we look at this. We love you. Ciao.
Congratulations, Joan. You so deserve this award.
Joan, congratulations on being the recipient of this year's A.J. Elliott Award. It is certainly well deserved.
Congratulations, Joan, on being the recipient of the 2021 Elliott Award. You rock. Our beautiful, beloved Joan Howes is one of the kindest, sweetest, most loving, caring, compassionate people I know. As you know, Joan is also the visionary co-founder of UCO, and as I like to call her, our master quilt maker. Every quilt that Joan makes is imbued with her beautiful energy and prayers. And on behalf of our teens, the Uniteens and the YOU, Joan, I just want to give you a huge thank you for your support, for donating these quilts for the teens fundraisers. Over the years, your support has meant so much to us. Thank you with all of my heart. I love and appreciate you more than words can ever say. Mwah.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Chandra. It's a very, very special honor, and I'm grateful. I set it here to keep it safe. It's heavy. You know, since you called and asked for this time, I've been thinking a lot about all the steps that have brought me to this point in my life. You know, every day we make decisions of one kind or another, and we don't often realize where those steps are taking us, except in hindsight. You know, they always say hindsight is 20/20, and that's true. Thinking about the decisions that we made way back in the 1970s when we started our printing business, we had the whole Detroit area we could have chosen from, and we ended up in Warren, Michigan. And because we were there, we started doing printing for this beautiful Unity Church there. And that we didn't always stop to read what was happening in the presses. And one day we started reading what we were printing for the church, and it sounded really, really good. So we thought, well, we might try it. Plus, the people who came in to order the printing and then pick it up had something very unique. They were so calm. They exuded peace. I thought, you know, I really want that. That's something that I need to have more of in my life. And so we started attending the church, and oh my, we just took every class that was offered. We wanted to grow and grow and grow. And it was really wonderful. So many of our dreams came into reality because of Unity. Well, when we retired, we came to Austin, and again, we had looked all over the country and nothing was right. When we came here, we knew this was it. It was just an instant knowing. And again, God keeps opening these doors. And when you walk through those doors, it's life-changing every time. And I am so happy to be able to do something that benefits my wonderful church family. You know, Richard Bach in his book, Illusions, said, rarely do members of the same family grow up under the same roof. And we see that so clearly here. We are a family, a loving family, and very blessedly, we are a family in which every member contributes in some way. I have never before experienced a church where there is so much willingness, eagerness to give of oneself in so many ways. And I hope you'll realize how very special that is. It's rare and it's beautiful, and I love you all.
It is our great honor and joy to add Joan Howes to the list of Elliott Award recipients. Thank you, Joan, for your service, your good works. Bless you. You can find more of Joan's quilting handiwork for purchase on our website at unityhills.org. Thank you.
The song speaks to the greatness of the God that is within you and within me, and the gratefulness that we have to behold that power. Great is your mercy towards me, your loving kindness towards me, your tender mercy I see day after day, forever faithful towards me. God's always providing for me. Great is your mercy towards me. Great is God's grace. Great is your mercy towards me. Your loving kindness towards me, your tender mercies I see day after day, forever faithful towards me. You're always providing for me. Great is your mercy towards me. Great is God's grace. Your mercy towards me. Your loving kindness toward me. Your tender mercies I see day after day, forever faithful towards me, always providing toward me. Great is your mercy I see day after
Your tender mercies I see day after day, forever faithful for me. You're always providing for me. Great is your mercy towards me. Great is God's grace.
Great is your mercy towards me. Your loving kindness towards me. Your tender mercy I see day after day, forever faithful towards me. You're always providing for me. Great is your mercy I see. Great is God's grace.
Good morning. Am I on? I can't hear myself, so I'm assuming I wasn't. Good to see all of you today. This place is packed. Feels good. Well, compared to, I've been visiting here once in a while and it's been a little empty, so I'm so grateful to see people here. I want to just, Joan, who just received the Elliott Award, I want to just, before I start, I'd like to send her a message if you happen to be watching. If you could find me or call me, I'd love to talk to you. She mentioned she was from Warren, Michigan, and I happen to be a minister at Warren, Michigan. Well after Jack Mullen was there, and I was wondering if our lives had crossed, and I'd love to talk to you. So you give me a call, I'd sure appreciate it. And if you're watching, welcome to Unity Church of the Hills. I am thrilled to be here. I think you've been in great hands with my beautiful wife. I think she's a beautiful lady, don't you? I want to share with you one of my favorite stories. And it speaks to my life and how my life's been at times. And it's a simple story about a man who walks into a restaurant and he's living in Florida. He walks into a restaurant, sits down at the counter, and he happens to have a fresh cast on his arm. He sits down at the counter, and the guy next to him asked him. He said, "Hey, good morning." He said, "What? You broke your arm? What happened?" He said, "I don't want to talk about it." He said, "Well, we're going to be sitting here for a while. Why don't you tell me what happened?" And so he starts to explain to him this story about 2 weeks ago. He said, "I woke up in the morning, and you ever notice that some mornings you wake up, it's just like the best day ever, and you don't know why, but you take it in, you accept it." He woke up like that morning. It was his best day ever, and he was just having such a good experience. And many people like myself, when we're having those days, when we get into the shower, we're in the acoustics in a shower are incredible, aren't they? I sound good in the shower. The acoustics, so a lot of people like to sing in the shower, and so this guy tells a story. I stepped into the shower. It was a great day. I started singing some of my favorite songs, and he was like me, a Platter fan, and he starts off with, "Only you can make such a dream come true." Together, "Only you are my destiny." And he's having a great day. And all of a sudden, he hears a scream from the living room. It was his wife screaming. And he just grabbed, the shower's still running, still dripping wet, grabs a towel, puts it around him, comes running out. His wife's standing on the coffee table, pointing under the couch, screaming at the top of her lungs. And he's got the towel around him, and he's holding it, and he's down there, and he's looking. Well, let me tell you what's just happened there. There was a freeze warning the night before, and they were asked everybody to bring their sensitive plants inside. And so they rolled that big plant and had on wheels into the house. Well, what had happened was there was a big old black snake curled up in that pot, which now means the black snake's in the house, right? And so she spotted the snake under the couch screaming. He doesn't know what it is. He's just trembling. He's like this, and he's got his towel like that, and he's trying to go down to see what's going on. And he's got this incredible black lab. Many of you have wonderful dogs, and this one's a beautiful black lab with the coldest nose you can imagine. And that black lab wants to know what's going on. He comes up behind him. He sticks that nose right there where that towel's not covering. And the sharp of the cold and the adrenaline, and he passed out. His wife doesn't know what's happened. She finally quits screaming, calls 911. The medics show up. He's laying on the ground, passed out. They go to put him up on the stretcher. They go to lift the stretcher. Snake comes out. Medic steps on the snake, drops the guy, he breaks his arm. Welcome to my life. Is that how your life? I mean, you've done everything you need to do. You're having a great day, and all of a sudden something happens to throw it off. I'm not the only one, am I? And so the idea is like, how do we, as soon as possible, how do we get back in alignment with the truth of who we are? You know, how do we affirm that truth is quicker than later? Because we're going to bounce in, we're going to bounce out. But the work to bring forth our true self, the part of us, Charles Fillmore and Myrtle Fillmore, co-founders of the Unity Movement, kind of had this idea that Christ within. They love the idea that the Christ within is our hope of glory. And so what they began to do is gather together with like-minded people and create an awareness of a God of their understanding. And God has been called many things over the years. He's been called all kinds of names, from divine mind that we sometimes refer to. We talked about God as spirit. God is energy. We talk in Unity about Mother, Father, God, the aspects of God that are feminine, but the aspects of God that are principle. And there's all these terms and frameworks, if you would call them, because here's the bottom line. Anything more than one is our way of understanding God. God is. Say it with me together. God is. And if you're home, say it again. God is. And all the rest is commentary. Rabbi Hillel, Hillel, the elder, they called him. He was born, I think, at around 110 BC. He was a Jewish sage, a Jewish rabbi, a brilliant man. It was his comment 110 years before the turn of the century in the sense of AD. He was saying this, that God is love. And that love needs to be the cornerstone of our lives. And as I look out and see what's going on in the world today, you've been watching some news lately, have you? Interesting times. We've got, good golly gee, we got mass shootings, global warming, those fires in California. I was born in Glendale, so a special interest there. The snowstorms. They even got this thing called ice tsunamis. Did you see about that? Where the polar ice caps are all melting all this ice and the big waves come and put all the ice on shore. We've got raising sea levels. We've got pollution in our oceans. We got animals going extinct or endangered for sure. We got healthcare problems. We've got food and water contaminations. You can relate to that. We got problems with our grids. We've got political divide. We've got racial divides. We've got starvation. We've only been, this country's been at war all but 20 years since its existence. We've got work to do, don't we? And it's like overwhelming. And then we have what's called the pandemic. I had my second shot on Monday. You get a chance, get it. Yeah. It doesn't hurt. Little side effects, but it'll allow you to get back and do what you need to do. So we'll get through this together. But we also have to take a look at where we are. And if we want to do something different, we got to begin to put the love of God as the cornerstone in our lives. You know, if you're into castles and building and architect, when you think the archway over a doorway, it's the stone at the top that holds everything together and allows it to carry the weight. That's called the keystone. That's where love is. The keystone carries the weight for all the other things that are going on in our lives. We need to develop these frameworks that are so useful and so helpful for us to develop, and because Unity offers just lots of them. Now, you know, the Unity movement itself, I guess, is a framework. The Bible can be a framework, but I'm talking about things that Unity teaches that allow us to get specific. And I'm going to show you a couple books here that take me back to seminary. They were called Metaphysics 1 and 2. And the guys that wrote this had just written it the year before I started seminary in 1985. So this was the book that they taught us in ministerial school in metaphysics. And I want to prepare you today. I only got a matter of minutes to prepare you for a licensing ordination final exam, which will be coming up tomorrow. So we got a lot of work to do. We'll probably be here the rest of the day. But there are frameworks in here that I was looking at again that I had forgotten about. Simple frameworks. Doesn't have to be complex. The one that I think is important for us to take a look at that Unity offers is this framework called personality and individuality. Personality is the part of us that, sometimes, have you ever met someone's personality you didn't like? Have you ever met someone's personality that you loved? The minute you met them, you resonated with their personality. I remember one time I met somebody in a store, and it was just an encounter, but their energy was so incredible, and I loved them so much. I could tell that we would, and I talked to him, and I followed him out to his car. I'm surprised he didn't call 911. Who is this guy? But I was drawn to him. And there are certain people that you meet and their personality is not so much, is that when you meet him, you go like this, ooh, okay. Right? It's their personality, it's not their individuality. What we've recognized and where the problem might be is we've come to acknowledge people by their personality, not by their individuality. Now, is individuality the Christ presence? No, it's a different framework. You don't mix frameworks. This is about the individuality is the essence of you that never changes. It's the part of you that's divine. It's the way that God created you. It's the divine essence of who you are. So if we can begin to shifting, we acknowledge personality. That's nothing wrong with a personality. But if our personalities clash, what we want to do is then we want to move into and acknowledge our individuality, that we're all children of God. Every person, even the people you don't like. And what did Jesus tell us to do? Love thy neighbor. If you want to look at the Bible as a framework, I encourage you to go to Matthew 5, 6, and 7, because it has the ethics and the values and everything that Jesus asked us to do. Another possible framework that we can use. Because if we don't have frameworks, we can't prepare ourselves for the things that show up in our lives. Some things just show up. Just like the guy taking a shower, the snake shows up. If you've got a framework that you can work, you can then take care of that when it shows up. If you don't, things get a little interesting. My brother is quite the character. He's a cancer survivor, a COVID survivor, one of my best friends, 2 years older than me. He used to own taverns and involved in that kind of a life, and he has all kinds of jokes. Bartenders got the jokes, but I couldn't share any of them with you, except one. And I'll share you the one story that my brother told me that I can actually share. And it's about 3 guys who go down to the Gulf Coast of Texas every year. They've been friends since high school. And every year they go down to the Gulf Coast and they go out fishing. And it's a little 18-foot boat. Now, I'm not going out in the ocean in a small 18-foot boat, but they do. But every year they did, every year after year after year. And every year after year they would go out a little bit farther, and a little bit farther, and a little bit farther. And one time they were out quite a ways. It was not a good place to be, but they were just out there fishing. And one of them looks over and sees a tsunami, a 100-foot tsunami coming right at him. What would you do? One's trying to get the motor started, and they realize they can't outrun it. And somebody says, what the heck are we going to do? And one of them said, let's pray. This could be a time when it's too late to pray. I'm not sure, but maybe not. So they said, let's pray. And they all looked at each other, and nobody knew how to pray. They weren't churchgoers. They didn't know for sure until finally one of them says, you know what? Hey, I lived next door to a church when I was growing up. And on Saturdays, I could hear them praying. He said, can you remember any of it? He said, I don't know, we'll try. So what do we need to do? He said, well, let's get down on our knees in the boat. So they get down on their knees in the boat. And he says, come on, let's start praying. The wave's getting closer and closer. We got to do something, right? He said, well, start praying. What do you remember? He said, okay, I think I got it. Okay, I got it. B1, I-17, N42. Finally, somebody got my story. What they were doing on Saturday was bingo at the church next door, and that's all he heard was them calling off the numbers. A joke usually doesn't work if you have to explain it, but there you go. But they weren't prayed up, you see. They hadn't done the work. They were scrambling because they hadn't developed what's called a prayer consciousness. They had no prayer consciousnness. One of the other frameworks that's in that book talks about the 4 phases of consciousness. The idea of the 3 phases of consciousness. There's a conscious mind, a superconscious mind, and the superconscious mind. That's another framework you could get a hold of if you want to enhance your life. Denials and affirmation, if you go to the Unity toolbox, denial and affirmation is in that toolbox because that's a big deal for us. We release and we affirm. We changed the word a little bit in modern Unity from denial, because what it means in the psychological field, to a release or just a letting go. And the importance of letting go is that don't take on things that aren't the truth of your identity. So that framework really kind of works, is you can let it go and then affirm the truth. You let go with a sense of like pushing away cobwebs. It's just a gentle letting go. It's like you don't hold on like this to what you don't want. See, the universe doesn't know, all it knows is energy. So if you come up, for instance, and you declare you want to let go like this, by God, I'm letting go of that thing, and you got that kind of energy, you know what the universe thinks? He wants more. He just keeps giving you. So a framework of a denial and affirmation is just a gentle wiping away of things that no longer serve me. It's not who I am. And then when you affirm, and then the next thing you say before you affirm is that, and that has no power over me. And that has no power over me. That's not who I am. I'm a beautiful, radiant child of God. And then when you do an affirmation, you affirm it as if it is so. You see the difference? It's an energy field. Let go like this, affirm like this. Let go like this, affirm like this. So the idea is that we don't want to hold on to things that no longer serve us, things that aren't true. We want to hold on to the glory of God and the truth of who and what we are. And so the idea is to be able to do that, and to do that with ease. You can find these frameworks anytime you want just by lifting up your head and beginning to look for them and calling them forth. I was sitting back in Warren, Michigan, in Jones Church as the minister. On Thursdays, I would come together with the elderly group in the church, stuffed all the bulletins back in those days. We had thousands of them, this stuff. And we'd all sit and socialize, we'd potluck, we'd have more fun. And this one lady that I absolutely adored, she came in and she threw this at me. I'll show it to you here real quick. She threw this out in front of me and said, I want you to read this, and I want you to read every page. She was a character. It was called The Examiner. And then thinking to myself, geez, you're reading The Examiner and we're in a Unity church? And she said, I want you to read it, and I want you to read every page. And so I did. And I read it, I didn't see nothing, and then I realized I'd done some scanning, and there was a section in here called Don't Take Good Times for Granted. And it's a guy that you write to called Dear Tony. And in Dear Tony, in this section, it says, please cut out this prayer request and pray for all the troops that are fighting for our country, da-da-da. And this was the prayer that was in there. Now, this is the Examiner magazine, right? You can find truth anywhere. It said, the prayer for protection. In the Examiner magazine, it's the full version of the prayer of protection. The one that we say on Sundays is a shorter version written obviously for the troops during World War II. They couldn't have memorized this. But this can be a framework too. This little prayer of protection. The light of God surrounds me. The love of God enfolds me. The power of God protects me. The presence of God watches over me. This is the one I like. The mind of God. The mind of God guides me. The life of God flows through me. The law of God directs me. The power of God abides within me. The joy of God uplifts me. The strength of God renews me. The beauty of God inspires me. Wherever I am, God is. Isn't that cool? That's the full version. Yeah. And this can be a framework I mean, if you lived your life off this, especially the one that says, the mind of God guides me, because Charles Fillmore's framework he referred to God as mind. The mind of God, which you cannot escape. You know, I used to tell my congregation is that what you need to do is get out of your mind. Somebody said, man, you're out of your mind. I go, lucky me. You're out of your mind. Yes, I am. You don't have, I remember when I heard this for the first time, you don't have a mind of your own. What you have is a perception of God mind. It's a limited perception at times. Anytime you feel separate from another person, and believe you me, we're feeling a lot of that. That's a limited perception of God mind. But nevertheless, you don't have a mind of your own. You have a brain, but the mind that you have is a perception. You can tell I'm excited about this one. It's a perception of God mind. Change your perception. Set aside the illusion of separation. Change your perception to finding a framework. And there's tons of them in these books and in the Bible. There's tons of them that will allow you to move forward in that framework. Charles Fillmore's most famous framework was this thing called, how many are familiar with the 12 powers of man? The 12 powers is the teachings in unity. That was his creation. When I was a student, I'd go up into the library to get my books and get ready for study, and it was a glass case. And in the glass case was his handwritten note from Charles Fillmore saying, there are 8 powers of man. Now, we all know in our framework there's 12, but he was excited about the 8. Can you imagine how excited he was when he realized he'd come up with 4 more, and he would have a 12 framework, which is the 12 disciples? He was excited. And the idea is that you take those 12 powers, whether it be the power of power, the power of strength, the power of imagination, power of elimination, the power of zeal and wisdom, whatever one it is, when you exhibit those 12 powers in their fullness, in their entirety, you express the Christ presence. That was his framework. And so 12 powers is a great framework that we teach in Unity because you can take a look at those to see how you're doing. Here's what I notice. I avoid certain ones that I'm not good at. You ever done that? I keep practicing the one I already got down because I'm good at it. You know, I like zeal. You know, zeal. I love zeal. And I would do zeal without wisdom. Damn, you get in trouble for that. You get too excited about something, but you haven't thought it out yet. So to bring the balance of those 12 powers. Charles Fillmore was a very zealot, incredible human being. Myrtle was too. He lived to be just short of 94 years old. Back in 1948, that was quite a long time to live. And he, you know, his famous affirmation, I fairly sizzle with zeal and enthusiasm as I spring forth with a mighty faith to do the things that ought to be done by me. When he recorded that, he sounded like Gabby Hayes. You remember Gabby Hayes? Because he was 94 years old. And so when he recorded it, he would sound like this. I fairly sizzle. I fairly sizzle with zeal and enthusiasm. I spring forth with a mighty faith to do the things that ought to be done by me. And then he'd throw his leg out of bed because he was sick. He was 93 and he was dying, and he wanted to keep doing God's work. And so I fairly sizzle with zeal and enthusiasm as I turn my attention not away from God, but to God. Not a God that's out here that I can't touch. You know, I believe you know, most people they get to heaven by backing out of hell. That's how I got there. I had to keep an eye on everything going on in here that I'd created, but I was willing to back up and leave it for a while. You see, you're a radiant, beautiful, radiant child of God, heir to the kingdom of God. You can be authentic. Authentically you. You don't have to make up stories to try to impress anybody. You're you. 4 ladies got together after 50 years. They went to a Catholic school. And they got together and hadn't seen each other in 50 years. And they're all gathered at the restaurant, the 4 of them. They were best friends years ago. And one of them happens to say this. You know, I'm going to brag on my son. He became a priest. Wow. And they call him father. And she was feeling pretty good about that. And then the next lady, a little pause. Next lady, she says, well, I hate to top that, but my son became a bishop. Really? And they call him Your Grace. Well, she was sitting there feeling pretty good about that one. And so the next lady, she thought for a minute, she says, well, I don't want to say anything to top that, but my son became a cardinal. And when he walks into a room, everybody says, Your Eminence. Now, the 4th lady, how do you top that? Let me think. Any Catholics out there? Who's next in line? There you go. So the 4th lady, she was authentic, she wasn't lying, she wasn't interested in making up stories. She said, let me tell you about my son. Let me tell you about my son. He's 6'2". He's got broad shoulders, a square jaw, beautiful hair, dresses sharp. He's a very successful businessman in his rights. And he said he drives a beautiful car. And he said, let me tell you this. When he walks into a room, all the women go, oh my God. So, be authentic with yourself, right? Find a framework that you can, that works for you, because we've got some work to do, folks. We have got to start seeing everybody as individuals, not personality, but as the divine being that they are. And so we can do that now by just taking a moment. You close our eyes to the outer world and just say, thank you, God, for my recommitment into the awareness of the truth of who we are. Each and every person, regardless of feeling of separation, regardless of feelings of anxiety, of our differences, we are heir to the kingdom of God. And we take that knowing into our beingness. And we are so excited about our recommitment, the opportunity that Unity has given us to reach out and grab those frameworks. God is love. And all the rest is this commentary to allow us to understand our relationship with the God of our understanding. God is, I am. But we have to come together to understand our relationship as a beautiful, radiant child of God, of the creator of the universe. We are empowered to do all things, the Christ that strengthens us. And so we are open and receptive, Father, Mother, God. We are open and receptive to your living spirit of truth. Let it touch us this day. Let us see each and every person as your children. And may we go forth this day filled with the Spirit. And we take a moment of silence, just a moment, to bring that into our hearts. Call forth the awareness of the Master Teacher, Jesus Christ. He will guide us. He will direct us. He will show us the way. And for all these things, we are grateful. And the Christ's presence within you and me, we celebrate this day. And so it is, so it shall be done. Amen. God bless you. Thanks for the invitation. Thank you.
You're on fire, darling. I hear it reverbing through my mic. Thank you. I told you. What'd I tell you? Another round of applause? Yes. Frameworks. God is. The rest is commentary. I think that's one of my favorite lines. I probably heard it when I met Rob about, 15 years ago, I think we met, and he's been saying it ever since, and it's so true. So God is, the rest is commentary. We've come to the time in our service where we have the opportunity to give. So as you give today, if you're in the sanctuary, we do not pass baskets or anything, but we've got baskets at the door. If you're not in the sanctuary, or if you are, we've got all kinds of ways to give. We have an app, UCOH app. We have, you can text 77977 UCOH to 77977. It's on your screen. You can actually mail a check. You could even drive by and drop a check off. And you can also find ways to give on our website. So as we give, activate in yourself, God is. And one of the ways that God is in our world is through abundance. And so when we give to UCOH, we give and we are blessed. As we bless this ministry, we bless the world. As we bless the world, we bless this ministry. So we activate that feeling of giving and receiving and being a part of that flow. So together, our offering statement. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I circulate, and I am grateful. Thank you, God.
A story to tell you about some things that I've been through, but I'm healed. Oh, I'm healed. Had some ups and some downs, level to the ground, but I'm healed. Oh, I'm healed. Had to wrestle all night long, wondering what went wrong, but I'm healed. Oh, I'm healed. Had some sunshine and some rain, heartache and some pain. I'm healed. Oh, I'm healed. My God has touched me, delivered. He set my soul free. My heart is mended. I'm whole again. No chains are holding me. Liberty, I am healed. I am healed. I'm healed today. God touched me, delivered. He set my soul free. My heart is mended. I'm whole again. No chains. Scars, I am healed. Circumstances, I'm still healed. Disappointment, I am healed. They have some scars, I am healed. Circumstances, I'm still healed. Disappointment, I am healed. I
circumstances, I'm still healed. Disappointment, I am healed. May have some scars, I am healed. Circumstances, I'm still healed. Disappointment, I am healed. Oh, I am healed. I am healed. I am healed. With God's love, I am healed. Oh, I am healed. I am healed. I am healed. With God's love, I am healed.
I'll ask
I
you.
didn't even talk about my favorite one's going to be Trinity. Mine
Okay.
might be an expression.
I'll start that. I'll start that.
So, ministerial candidate Reverend Cherie Taylor Jones will be speaking next Sunday. If you would like to join us in the sanctuary or on the pavilion, the RSVP link will be going live immediately following today's service. And we will be sending out an email for your feedback regarding Reverend Cherie as a candidate following the March 14th service so that you can provide your feedback to the Board of Trustees with your thoughts and impressions as they make the highest and best decision for our community. Speaking of March 14th, don't forget to spring forward 1 hour. Can you believe it? It is already time for daylight savings time to begin. So make sure you make a note of that. And today we will be sure to wrap up in time for the Gratitude Circle that takes place via Zoom at 1 o'clock. And the link for that can be found on our UCOH calendar at unityhills.org. Before we close with the prayer for protection and move into our Going Deeper session, we have the final in a series of 3 videos about our culture of care. And this one is from Becca Cooper. So let's hear from Becca.
Hi there, my Unity Church of the Hills family. This is Becca Cooper. Many of you know me as the sign language interpreter in service on Sunday mornings, but I am also a student at Seminary of the Southwest here in Austin to become a chaplain serving in the healthcare field. And as part of that, I am also the pastoral care intern here at UCOH. Care is an integral part of who I am and what we here at UCOH do. I was drawn to UCOH because of that culture of care. We are definitely an ever-expanding community of love and acceptance where lives are transformed. And as we care for ourselves and each other, we are launching our Care Connection campaign in the next coming weeks. After receiving your answers to our first 2 poll questions about what care looks like to you and how you practice self-care, we have an amazing team of care ambassadors that will be reaching out to you by phone in a Care Connection call. Also, in coming weeks, you will have an opportunity to update your contact information if anything has changed. We look forward to connecting with you as we come together to seed our consciousness of care.
All right, so for this week, what we're going to do with the prayer for protection, we had a request to try this out. We continue to play. Right, exactly, is we're going to read it through the way James Dillett Freeman wrote it, at least the piece that we play on Sunday. I had no idea there was a longer version. Did anyone out there know there was a longer version? Somebody knew. Way to go. So we'll we'll read it all the way through, and then Reverend Eliza will read through. Both of them will be on the screen so you guys can play along with us. So let's give it a shot. Here we go. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is swell.
Together, I am the light of God. As the light of God, we shine. I am the love of God. As the love of God, we embrace. I am the power of God. As the power of God, we stand in truth. I am the presence of God. As the presence of God, we radiate love. Wherever we are, God is, for we are one. Please stick around for our Going Deeper. We've got questions for Rob, or if you have a question for Rob, let us know. See you in 1 minute or less.
Hey.
Here, let me grab it. There you go. The mask and the mic is tough.
I know, it is tough. All right, it looks like we
Okay,
are
we're on.
back. And so welcome to the Going Deeper session. We've got both Reverend Eliza and Reverend Rob over there, and I'm here with my phone, so if you have a question for either of them, please type it in the comments and let us know. But I think, Reverend Eliza, you had a question you wanted to kick us off with, is that right?
Yeah, I wanted to just ask you to speak into your most favorite framework, because I
Unity
don't think you,
framework?
Unity framework, because I don't think you even mentioned it, did you?
I didn't.
Yeah, and you can look at that camera over there so they can, at home, look at,
That way?
yeah, look at Andy.
Andy,
There we go.
you know, I think it's the unity understanding of the creation, the Trinity. You know, spirit, soul, and body. Ours is mind, idea, and expression, because it is really it's the creation story, how to create. Because what it is that the mind of God, which we briefly talked about, how we tap into the full awareness of the mind of God, out of which divine ideas come, and then divine ideas come through the mind of God, and then that's the idea, which is the divine idea, and then the full expression out of the universe, mind, idea, and then to express that divine idea in its purest form out into the universe. So it's actually the creation process, mind and idea, and then the expression. Anything you come up with comes from the mind of God, right? Any divine idea, you take that idea, and once you express it, then you create a better world. So I'd say that one.
I love what you had to say about none of us really having our own mind. That was really great. And then, you know.
You have, it's either a limited perception or not.
Right.
Or a part, you know what I mean? So the work that we do in working these frameworks is to allow us to deepen that bigger and more and more and more, so that we're more in tune with the divine mind and not the, you know.
Not the limited mind, exactly.
Yeah, it's a limited mind, So if somebody says, gee, Tammy, you're out of your mind, you go, yeah.
I know, that's the coolest thing in the
About
world. I keep trying to lose my mind. It keeps coming back.
Exactly.
All right, so I've got another question here for you.
Sure.
Okay, if God is love, is the keystone, what would you say some of the major pillars of our framework should be? So I know you touched on some of them, but maybe like you just said, mind, idea, expression.
Yeah, any of the stones, in that model, a lot of people refer to the 12 powers.
Yeah.
Because the love, the power of love is the keystone of the rest of the powers. And it's in anything that you do, anything you're trying to build, if you don't have that, it's going to crumble and fall, because it won't withstand the pressure.
Right.
Because the keystone allows all the stones to take the pressure of the entire wall and the archway, And so that's what it's all about. If you don't have love in your heart, you know the old saying, if you can't do it in love, don't do it at all.
Yeah.
Don't pollute the consciousness, because what we're polluting is race consciousness if we don't bring love in. So.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
We
So
say
anything
that's
you're trying to
really
build.
good. That's, will you say that again? That about polluting race.
What's that?
Will you say that one more time? Because that was really good about polluting race consciousness.
Well, you know, race consciousness is a collective consciousness. And so what's happening right now is we have polluted race consciousness with false truths, with, you know, feeling everybody's separate. So that's a pollution. But when you bring love into it, you can't pollute at that level. It won't allow you to.
Yeah.
You know, you'll love your neighbor. You'll be the good Samaritan, you know.
Right.
That kind of thing. You'll go the extra mile when somebody asks you to, you know, if they ask for your coat, like Jesus said, you give them 2. So that's what brings it. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, I've got a question on my watch, if I can get back to it. Thank you, James. So what is your favorite framework that you return to for a fun and healthy marriage or relationship? So framework as it relates to relationship. I think it's a great question.
Well, I think what pops into my mind is that if you're having a difficulty in a relationship, it's usually around that personality stuff. You know, I mean, it is. It's just not going to be around the individuality or the Christ presence. It's that personality stuff. So then you need to do the deep work and put that attention on the truth, which is that your beloved is an individualized expression of God, who has, you know, has the gifts and every, you know, you're putting too much attention on earthly matters. You know, render unto Caesar what's Caesar's, but you need to come from the love. And if you come from love, you can't go wrong.
Yeah.
You
It
just
sounds
can't
like really.
go wrong.
Yep.
So along the same lines, but what you just said, don't say you're out of your mind. Don't say go lose your mind before I talk to you. Don't do those.
Those arrows all need to come home. It isn't about them, it's about you.
Okay, so I've got another question from you, this one from RV. Can you talk about the role that spiritual mentors play in development of more expansive frameworks? I think that's a great question. Like, what are the roles of, and I think you could also say teachers, right? It's, you know, that idea of, anyways.
Yeah,
You get the
I think
question.
it's just to plant the seeds, just to put it out there. Not everybody grabs it, but you know, they have. It's just people doing it and living from that place, and then you know they plant the seeds for us. You know, and you know some people. You know, that authenticity is so huge because in today's world, you need to stay authentic, you know. In the old days, you know, I pastored some large churches, Renaissance Unity, Unity Village Chapel. I've met them all.
Right.
You know, all the keynote spiritual leaders that we have. And some of them, you know, they're human. And so when they're in front of the camera, it's great, but, you know, not so much on the side. So, you know, that's why the authenticity has to be there for me. Somebody said, who is your favorite spiritual leader? And do you remember Og Mandino?
I read the book.
The Greatest Salesman?
Right, yeah.
He was the real deal.
Yeah.
He was the real deal. And so it's important. And they discovered new ideas, new models, you know, that we can express into. You know, and they give us, I think they give us the ahas we need. You know, when we read their books, you go, aha, I get it.
Yeah.
You know, I was telling Liza, was it yesterday? You know, these books just take you right back to, you know, seminary and, you know, that whole thing. And I remember sitting in those classes and they were delivering what I'd never heard before, true metaphysics, you know, the understanding of the law of a study of being. And every one of them, I was telling her, it was so bizarre because I already knew it. It was just crazy. It was like I already knew it. I didn't know I knew it, but I knew it. Yeah. It was like somebody who, you know, played the piano in a past life who came in and it's just easy. It's like learning a language that you didn't know you knew. It was pretty mind-blowing.
That's a good way to describe unity. Yeah. That's a good way to describe unity and metaphysics. I'd never thought of it that way. We're all sort of born into that knowledge, right? Because it aligns with the truth. And
That whole sense of coming home that so many people experience too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Anything you want to add about frameworks, Reverend Eliza?
Well, they are like Rob said, really the building blocks. And what I would say about spiritual mentors is when you're doing the deep healing work, when you're doing the deep conscious expansion work, conscious evolution work, you need a mentor of some sort, because there's only a certain amount that you can see, because we're really unpacking that which we can't see, what's in the subconscious. So just kind of going to RV's question about that. A lot of it you can get, by coming to church and taking the classes, but it is that deeper work that really allows the true consciousness growth. And that's where we are on the planet, is we need that.
Yes, we do.
I had on a different note, but I popped into my head, one of the teachers I referred to, Ed Rabel, was just an absolute unbelievable comprehending this unity stuff. But he's in one of the classes, he said, when you're on this planet, you really need to sort out necessary suffering from unnecessary suffering. And it took me a long time to figure that out. Like things that we go through that happen to us that we have no control over, and they come to us necessary for us to move through, to bless the people, whether it be your son who's just had surgery, or my daughter who had breast cancer, whatever it is, that's stuff that you're going to go through. Learn how to handle it. But separate what's called the useless and necessary suffering. And that's the stuff like that, why is that happening to me again?
Yeah.
Because, it's not necessary. Some stuff is just repeated suffering that it brings no good. So identifying what is important, the pain and suffering that we go through, loss of a loved one, we have all this pain and suffering going on, and some of it's just, so cutting loose of the unnecessary suffering will hugely benefit our lives.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is, I think, coming back to that idea that, we're aligning with the mind of God.
Right.
Exactly.
Right, exactly.
Excellent. Well, any closing thoughts you want to share? Thank you so much for, finally, I know Reverend Eliza has been trying to get you on the platform, and we appreciate it. I know.
I'm retired.
Well, thank you for coming out of retirement for at least one Sunday.
It was a treat. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everybody
All right,
should
y'all.
do this once a year.
Have a beautiful day. Bye.
There we go.
Challenges takes a conscious effort. Transformation is possible, and we have many tools to support you on the journey. Our One Power podcast explores spiritual and creative ideas to help guide you along your path. And you can check it out in your favorite podcast player or onepowerpodcast.com.
One of my favorite tools for transformation is gratitude. Join our praying chaplains on Zoom at 1 p.m. the first Sunday of every month for a gratitude circle. It's an opportunity to share your gratitudes with others and to hold space as they share theirs with you.
Another great tool of transformation is meditation. In fact, prayer and meditation are cornerstones or foundations in unity. Join Dr. Dan Stasek on Tuesday night, March 9th at 7 p.m. for his Learn to Meditate class, offered on a love offering basis and taking place via Zoom.
And continuing on with spiritual tools, change your vibration to change your thinking, to change your world. Come play in the quantum field with Reverend Eliza every Wednesday at 12:30 via Zoom for her quantum frequency group harmonic for the greater good. Holding a consciousness of oneness will raise our vibration and then gift it to the world. Come play in the field with all of us.
Sandra Vela, LUT candidate, is offering an introductory session exploring the work, I Am the Word, the first of a series of channeled text by Paul Selig. Paul was the winner of the 2020 New Thought Walden Award and has been interviewed on Unity Online World Radio. His book is listed in Forbes magazine as one of 23 life-changing books. Join Sandra on Monday, March 15th at 7 p.m. on Zoom. Her hope is that this introduction sparks enough interest to form an ongoing book study. Learn more and RSVP at unityhills.org.
If you've been wanting to become more engaged here at Unity Church of the Hills and become a member, our new member class is coming up on Saturday, March 27th and Saturday, April 10th from 10 a.m. to noon via Zoom. This abbreviated Zoom class is being offered as a support while we are still primarily virtual. You'll learn more about Unity principles and your spiritual home. We would love to welcome you into our community and support you in your journey. Register today at unityhills.org.
Some of our rooms are open for small group gatherings of a spiritual nature. These include Legacy Suites for daytime and evening use, as well as Friendship Hall, the Sanctuary, and Chapel during church office hours. In addition, the pavilion and patio are available to rent as well. Email communications@unityhills.org to learn more about reserving a space and the safety guidelines that are in place.
Hey, last Sunday, Frank Phelan shared the exciting news that we have a viable candidate for senior minister. This individual, Reverend Cherie Taylor Jones, will be here on Sunday, March 14th, delivering the Sunday message and going deeper at the end of the service. We will send out a brief feedback form immediately following the service so that you can communicate your impressions with your board of trustees. Your feedback will be taken into consideration as the board makes their decision. You can learn more about Reverend Cherie by visiting unityhills.org.
And finally, we wanted everyone to know that we will honor and celebrate the life of Bob Heinrichs on Saturday, March 20th at 2 p.m. The sanctuary is reserved for family, but the pavilion will be open and the service will be live streamed to a special landing page on our website, unityhills.org/Bob-Heinrichs. That's HEINRICHS. And we continue to enfold Susan in love and support as she navigates the grief journey. And we look forward to celebrating the amazing life of our dear friend, Bob.
Thank you for being a part of our spiritual community. That's it for the announcements. Keep being the amazing you that you are, and have a blessed week. We love you.